Previously on HUTV. Tonight's episode, Requiem for a Son.
Hello and welcome to episode 12 of HUTV, Huntsville Utilities Television. I'm Todd, joined as always by the Bonnie to my Clyde and the Jekyll to my Hyde, Amanda.
Hello, everybody.
Amanda is back after not being here last week, but thanks to a sympathetic judge who set a low bail, she is back with us this week, and we're back at full capacity.
I wasn't in jail.
I know, we got you out of jail. Anyway, of course, HUTV would not be possible without the support of our sponsors. And here with this week's sponsor is the life-size cardboard cutout of our president and CEO, Wes Kelly.
This week's episode of HUTV is brought to you by the last 10 seconds of your favorite song. It's all you can seem to hear when you hear it play on the radio, the last 10 seconds of your favorite song.
Thank you, Flat Wes. You know, Amanda, the days are getting longer.
Yes, they are, but just like taxes, nighttime still comes.
Yes, indeed, and when it does come, we need streetlights to help keep us safe and light our way.
Yeah, do you remember that video we did back in the day where we talked about the first streetlights? They were natural gas and they were lit with those gas lamp lighter people.
Yes, that's true, but the father of modern street lighting is considered to be Jan van der Heyden, a Dutch artist, engineer, and city official who developed a street lighting system for the city of Amsterdam, and it was eventually adopted as a model for many other Dutch cities and cities in other countries.
Well, that's great to know the history of it, but the streetlight advancements that are coming along are the new LED lights, which use less energy and they turn on much faster and they offer a better quality of light.
Yeah, and it's a change that's happening here in Huntsville as well. And today, we're going to talk to one of the key figures behind the scenes who's making that happen. So, let's welcome our guests. Joining us now is Roli Grigg, an engineer in our electric department. Roli, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do for the company.
I've been an engineer at Huntsville Utilities for a little over 6 years. In that time, I've been involved with LEDs.
Cool. Well, let's start with the basics. What kind of streetlights are we using now?
This is the older style fixtures that we are going to be replacing. This is the high pressure sodium. As you can see, it has this large shade on it that easily comes off, and you can see inside where this rather large bulb would go right there. That technology is being replaced with this technology. So this will could go back on the exact same arm that older style fixture came off of. You just connect the 3 wires and there you go. And fixtures like this are what are being used on busier streets like Meridian Street, where we recently installed approximately 90 in between Oakwood Avenue and Winchester Road.
Okay, so at what point did we start talking about making this switch over to LEDs?
We started talking about making the switch to LEDs when I started here back in 2014.
Obviously, making this switch wasn't a decision that was made lightly. You did a lot of research with various types of lights, color temperatures. Can you tell us a little bit about the research that was done and what you were able to learn from it?
We started our first pilot projects back in 2015. We installed multiple fixtures from multiple manufacturers in a neighborhood off of Bailey Cove. We reached out to those same companies in 2018 and installed several more fixtures in that same neighborhood. Since then, we've installed even more samples at our Chase facility. We've gotten feedback from customers, the City Council, and the City of Huntsville. What we decided on was 3,000 Kelvin for residential areas and 4,000 Kelvin for busier 4-lane roads, highways, and the interstate.
Okay, now for those out there who are watching who don't know what you mean when you're talking about Kelvin, can you explain a little bit about what that term is?
You can describe how light appears by using temperature. The Kelvin temperature range for lights is from 1,000 Kelvin to 10,000 Kelvin. 1,000 Kelvin is red hot and 10,000 Kelvin is blue. and white is around 5,000 Kelvin. Another way to think of this would be to use a number the next time you go to buy paint. When you get to the counter, instead of saying, I would like a gallon of gray, and that person potentially asking you, well, would you like battleship gray, or gunmetal gray, or silver bullet gray, you could tell them, I would like gray 2.7, and then that would give them a good indication of exactly what shade of gray you wanted. Another way to think about Kelvin temperature is to remember back to your high school days in chemistry class, when your teacher allowed you to burn different things over a Bunsen burner to see what color they would burn. Those things that burned red would be, again, down around 1,000 Kelvin, whereas those things that burned blue would be closer to 10,000 Kelvin.
My teacher never let me burn anything. I was told to stay away. Yeah.
What makes LED lights so much better than what we've been using?
They're typically about 50% more efficient, and they usually come with a 10-year warranty.
How many streetlights have been switched out so far, and how many will eventually be switched out?
So far, we have installed a couple hundred LEDs, and we only have about 40,000 more to go.
Well, we tell people all the time that using LEDs in their homes can save them money. But when it comes to street lights, there are other factors you have to consider as well, such as safety. And we hear that regarding LED street lights. So can you explain why an LED street light is considered to be a great security option for neighborhoods?
LEDs are considered to be a great option for security because it is easier to tell the difference between colors. They have a higher color rendering index. What I mean by that is when you look at something like the HU logo, under high pressure sodium lighting, everything will be washed in orange. It can be difficult to tell that the red is red, the yellow is yellow, the blue is blue, the red might look kind of orange, the yellow is definitely going to look orange, and the blue might look kind of bluish, maybe kind of blue-gray. But when you look at something like our logo under light from an LED, you can easily see what the different colors are. And that's how it helps with facial recognition.
Is there anything else you'd like to add before we go?
What is blue and doesn't weigh much? Light blue.
Okay, well, in a similar vein, I do have one final question. Considering this topic, and with you being an engineer, I think we finally have a chance to answer the age-old question, how many engineers does it take to change a light bulb?
It's really more of a team sport like volleyball. The engineers set it up, and the linemen spike it down.
Well, that's some very interesting information there. We kind of take streetlights for granted, but you don't realize how much work goes into maintaining them until you talk to someone who helps get that job done.
True, and thanks to Roli for helping us out and shedding some light on the issue.
Yes, and now it's time for the internet sensation that's sweeping the nation. Comments, questions, Caitlin. Welcome, Caitlin. Why don't you tell us what you've seen on the interwebs since last we spoke?
What's up, everybody? Well, before we dive in, is it just me, or does Raleigh look a lot like the guest we had on the show to help us talk about energy vampires? I don't know, maybe I'm just seeing things, but I'm definitely seeing some similarities.
I think the cape is, yeah.
Yeah, I can see that. All right, well, today, let's start this batch of comments and questions off with a question. So, on Wednesday of last week, we posted pictures of Russell Hill Water Tank number 2, which was recently repainted by our water department. In that post, we mentioned that the inside and outside of the tank were coated with very specific thicknesses of paint, which prompted Jess Klon, I'm sorry if I'm saying that wrong, to ask, why is it so important how thick the paint on the outside is? Good question. So we passed that along to our water department, and here is what they said. Paint thickness is essential inside and outside for multiple reasons. Paint naturally provides aesthetic appeal while also protecting the metal surface from the elements and its environment from corrosion. So the industry has determined the best thickness to provide a lasting protective layer that will hold up under extreme environmental conditions. So basically, after painting lots and lots of water towers, this is what the experts have determined.
And, there was an additional comment on that post I'd like to mention, and someone named Kurt Schultz posted, I wish you had painted it to look like the moon or Mars. And I have to say, I 100% agree. I've traveled all around this great land of ours, and one of the things I always like to look at, and this was even before I started working in this industry, was the patterns and designs that a lot of cities paint on their water towers. Some of them are pretty original. I was in Ocean City, Maryland a couple of years ago, and they had painted one of theirs to look like basically a giant beach ball in a way. It was really, really cool. And obviously, I don't know how you go about getting that done, but I'm guessing it's a lot more expensive than the process that we go through to paint ours.
I'm sure. I have seen one that looks like a giant peach.
Oh, yeah.
And ours are a very specific color that we use, and I guess it's supposed to be more environmentally friendly. I don't know.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right, so on to the next one. We also got a few comments on this post about fatbergs, ew, which are caused when people flush things that aren't flushable down the toilet. Since the pandemic started, cities have actually been seeing spikes in system clogs, and this is around the country, from disposable wipes that aren't supposed to be flushed. Derek Higgs actually said, "We've known this about wet wipes for years now. Why do they continue to sell them that way?" Good question, Derek.
Yeah, that's an excellent question. And my initial reaction would be, as cynical as it may sound, because people keep buying them. And no one has decided that they need to take any kind of legal action to get them to take the word flushable off the packaging.
A lot of people think it's just one wipe. It won't do that much damage,
Yeah, but so do yourself a favor, or don't. Go to Google and Google fatbergs, and you can see that, it might just be one wipe down your pipe, but that rhymed, that's pretty good. But you add all of them together, if everybody in town is saying, oh, it's just one wipe, no big deal, and they all meet up in the pipes, you got yourself a problem.
Yeah, I actually did go and Google fatbergs again, ew. Just because I was curious. And apparently in 2017, London had one that was like tons
one of the largest
and tons
ever.
and tons. I mean, they were removing 20 to 30 tons of it a day.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure we did a post about that one too, because I remember it too.
Yeah. Well, and it's also, you're not supposed to flush like paper towels or napkins. There's all kinds of products that are, paper products that you think, oh, it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah, and I wear disposable contact lenses, and you're also not supposed to flush those, as small as they are. But apparently, it can cause a problem.
They're plastic.
And finally, last Monday, we experienced a water outage along Meridian Street when a vehicle unfortunately struck a fire hydrant and broke a main. Our crews were out until about 2 in the morning, repairing the damage and getting the water flowing, to which Latoya Holmes commented, "Thank you all for your hard work in getting our water back on." Well, Ms. Holmes, you are so welcome, and we are happy to be able to restore your water.
Yeah, that was an odd thing, because we very rarely have water service interruptions that impact significant areas like this one did. And you hear it all the time. We'll have someone hit a pole and it'll cause a power outage. Well, that can happen if you hit a fire hydrant too, because those are connected to the water system, just like everything else. So yeah. Caitlin, before we wrap this up, I want to address a comment that you made to me earlier this week.
Okay, what's that?
Okay, so those of you who watched last week's show will remember this, but Caitlin, you have accused me of incorrectly predicting the winner of the NCAA men's basketball tournament. Your claim is that I predicted Gonzaga would win.
Because you did.
I did not, and I beg to differ. I distinctly remember saying that Baylor was going to win it all, and I have video from last week's show to prove it. So let's roll that clip. So the question, Caitlin, is, of those four, who you got?
That is hard. UCLA has really made a comeback at the end of this season, so you know what? I'm going to go for the underdog here. I'm going to go for UCLA.
Oh, okay. Sorry, the correct answer is Baylor. You heard it here first, although by the time you're watching this, we'll know who have won. It was Baylor. Spoiler alert. So there you have it, irrefutable proof that I correctly predicted the winner of March Madness.
Your Honor, I request to see the timestamp on that video.
That is overruled, and so there you go. Pictures don't lie.
Oh.
In this case, video. So.
Okay.
Okay, so thank you, Caitlin, and the rest of you keep those comments and questions coming. Now it's time for this week's Birthday shout out. Today's birthday is Carl Louis Ferdinand von Lindemann. Got a lot of middle names in there. Born on this day in 1852. Lindemann, who was a German mathematician, is best known for the proof he published in 1882, which showed that pi is a transcendental number, meaning it is not a root of any polynomial with rational coefficients. And by coincidence, polynomial was the name of my first wife. Little known fact, in the online comic XKCD number 866, Lindemann appears as a person who has used a compass and straight edge to construct the greatest birthday party ever, to which no one shows up. So, happy birthday, Carl Louis Ferdinand von Lindemann. I want to put a von in my name. That would be cool.
Todd.
Lindemann, yeah.
Todd Von Long.
Yeah, why not? And this guy's got, what, 5 names? Carl Louis Ferdinand von Lindemann? Well, maybe von Lindemann is part of this. I don't know. Anyway.
So, is he going to appear on the Dutch Master Cigar Box?
I ran out of room.
Oh,
And I kind of got tired of that after a while. So,
that's sad.
yeah. Of course, all guests on HUTV receive a copy of the HUTV home game. It's handy for mom, dandy for dad, and fun for kids of all ages. Rinses clean in any dishwasher and stores flat in any drawer. The HUTV home game. Does anyone have anything to add before we go?
Ooh, I'd like to solve the puzzle.
Go right ahead.
If you mess with the bull, you get the horn.
That's it. You are heading on to the bonus round, and the rest of you will be back next week with another show. Until then, I'm Todd for Amanda, Caitlin, Flatwest, and all of us at HUTV. Thanks for watching, and remember, you can't spell utilities without you.
For example, Derek Higgs said, we've known blah, 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 blah. Redo. So, finally, or like, dang it. Redo.
Does anyone have anything to add before we go?
I'm good.
Actually, Caitlin has something she'd like to add before we go, but she hasn't gotten to that line yet on her script.
Go again, Todd.
Okay.
Aggravated that you don't want to even just do this right now? That's just not.
I am not aggravated. I am excited and happy.
All right, yeah.
Okay, there we go.